I want to talk about pause work real quick. It is a pretty popular accessory movement to have people do pause work, pause deads, pause squats, pause benches. It's pretty popular. It works well. I'm not going to say it's bad or wrong. I have people do it. It works great, but it gets misused pretty frequently and done wrong a lot. The most common mistake I see is that people use way too much weight and there isn't actually a pause. It's actually just this really slow looking, sloppy, grindy looking rep that all you are doing is reinforcing horrible, poor technique. And through repetition, you want to reinforce good technique, right? You don't want to reinforce horse shit. So going too heavy, there not being an actual pause is one of the biggest mistakes I see with pause work, and I'll talk about a few other alternatives to pause work. One reason why somebody would want to do pause work, for example, let's say pause squats. Let's say that you are somebody who is very fast out of the hole, but you peter out real quick halfway up and towards lockout. Using pause squats, you're taking out your best part of the lift and you're forcing yourself to work on your worst part of the lift. So when you do pause squats and you pause in the bottom, you are taking away that explosive drive out of the hole that helps you come out so fast, which you are very good at, and forces you to work in the state that you were worst at, the halfway up. You're taking the speed out of the game and trying to build nothing but strength. That would be one reason why someone would want to do pause work for, let's say, squats or deadlifts or bench. Let's say that you are someone who is very slow out of the hole, very slow lifter out of the hole, not very explosive, no grind. And let's say you're doing pause work to overcome static biodynamic. You want to get into that static state at the bottom of the lift, and you want to work on exploding out of it, building up that explosive strength, that reversal strength. That would be another reason why someone would want to do pause work. If you are not very good at just crushing it out of the hole, if you were someone who's going to start from a static pause state and work on being explosive, so when you actually get back to doing a full range and you have that reversal strength, you have the eccentric buildup, that would be very helpful because you're teaching yourself to be explosive out of the hole. What can you do instead of pause work? Well, for one, you can try dynamic effort. This teaches you to go from a static overcome by dynamic state. It teaches you to be very fast out of the hole. So if you're someone who has problems with being fast out of the hole, this will help you a lot because you're going from that static state on the box, that static state on your chest, that static state from starting your deadlift on the ground and breaking inertia. You're teaching yourself to be very fast off the ground, and also you have accommodating resistance. So it teaches you to drive through the bands, drive through the chains. It teaches you to finish. So if you are someone who has a problem with being very weak at the top, this forces you to explode and explode all the way through and finish the lift. Otherwise, the bands or the chains are just going to keep you bogged down. Let's say that you are someone who is slow out of the hole, can't break ground, can't break inertia, either out of the hole on squats or on deadlift. You can't get the weight off the ground to save your life. Something like an Anderson squat would be amazing for this because you are starting in that static state at the bottom of the hole and you have to overcome it and drive all the way to the top. This is really good for bench, for squat, deadlifts. You can just move the weight up a little bit and do a pin press or a pin pull instead because it changes where the weight's actually coming off the ground. When you're doing a pin pull, the weight comes off where it's sitting on the bar, as opposed to when you deadlift off the ground, you have slack come out first. So when you do a pin pull, there's no slack to come out, so it's just building just raw strength and raw power. So also with Anderson work or anything where it's just the concentric part, you don't have the eccentric part of the lift, so this means better recovery because that's where most of the muscle breakdown comes, isn't the eccentric part of the lift. Don't get me wrong, pause work is a great tool to have. It helps, but it does you absolutely no good if you are doing it wrong. You absolutely have to check your ego at the door with this accessory. Using too much weight makes this pointless. All you're doing is reinforcing shitty reps and you're not getting the desired effect of the reason why you're doing it in the first place. So pause work, awesome, as long as you're doing it right. And if you are someone who struggles with doing it right in the first place, try one of the other things I suggested, like pin pulls, pin presses, Anderson squats, speed work. board presses, any of those things will help you build those ranges that you were looking for improving on when you do pause work.